Hey man, how's it going? Well, we're completely out of sandpaper. I was thinking maybe you could go down to the hardware store and grab some. It looks like the hardware store is closed today. Well, I really need to finish this project, so... I have the perfect idea. I'll be back. Dude, where are you even going? You said the hardware store's closed. Whatever. So by now you've probably guessed that I'm going to be making some sandpaper. That is, trying to make some sandpaper. I honestly don't know if this is going to work, but I'm really curious to see if I can pull this off. I started off with some heavy cardstock because I knew that if I tried to use regular weight paper, it would probably tear. Then I sprayed on a thick layer of spray adhesive to the paper and started sprinkling on the sand. At this point, I really thought the spray adhesive was going to work, but after dusting off the excess sand and letting it dry a bit, well, this happened. So I think it's pretty clear that the spray adhesive isn't going to work. I can easily scratch the sand off of the paper with my finger, and that's definitely not what we want. But I'm not gonna give up that quickly, so it's time for plan B. So what I'm gonna try next is some STARBOND thin CA glue, and I'm pretty confident that this is going to do the job, but let's do a quick test first to see if this will work. After adding the sand and letting it cure for a bit, I went to brush off the excess, and barely any sand fell off. Okay, so my first test here seems pretty promising. It definitely does what sandpaper's supposed to do, which is grinding or shaping wood. So I think I'm gonna scale this up to a little bit bigger of a piece and see what we can do with that. Alright, so I'm actually kind of surprised at how well this turned out. It's super stiff, the surface is not even at all, and there's some chunks of larger stone in there. So I'm gonna make another and hopefully refine my process a little so I can make it smoother, but I'm pretty excited to see how this works. For version 2, I decided not to add any CA glue after sprinkling the sand. And this is really what helped me achieve a more even surface with less irregular chunks. Now that I'd made a better piece of sandpaper, it was time to deliver the final product. Hey man, here's your sandpaper. Where were you? I went all the way to the beach to collect sand so I could make sandpaper for you. Well, you're gone so long that the hardware store opened again, and I just went and bought some sandpaper. You gotta be kidding me, dude. All of that work for nothing. We should at least test to see which sandpaper is better. Well, I think the answer's pretty obvious, but you can do it anyway. This turned out fantastic. This actually looks and feels the way that regular sandpaper should. But you know what we gotta do now? We gotta actually put this to the test and see how well it holds up. Before we could start testing the sandpaper, I needed to make this look more official. For the first unscientific test, I set up 2 balsa wood sticks and I timed how long it took me to sand off the 1 inch of black ink on the ends. For the regular sandpaper, I decided to use 120 grit because it seemed the closest to the homemade sandpaper. I tried my best to sand at the same pace for both of them, but obviously this is not a super high level of precision here. I just wanted to see generally how my sandpaper performed. So surprisingly, the homemade sandpaper was faster, but it did take some pretty heavy damage where sections of the sand were completely gone. The regular sandpaper took a little bit longer, however it looked pretty much the same condition as when I started. For my second test, I wanted to compare them in a more practical application by rounding over the edges of some pine. Alright, we're at 1 minute and 41 seconds. Now I'm going to do it with the regular sandpaper and see how long it takes to get to this point. In this test, the regular sandpaper was faster, but the homemade sandpaper didn't take as much damage as the first test. I think this was because I was sanding with the grain as opposed to sanding the end grain like I did on the balsa wood test. Alright, so that's 1 minute and 14 seconds. They look pretty similar. There was a considerable difference in the smoothness of the wood though, with the regular sandpaper leaving a better finish. So what's my takeaway from all of this? Well, I was really surprised at how well the DIY sandpaper held up to my regular sandpaper. It definitely does have some disadvantages though, such as its long-term durability and the less than perfect surface finish it leaves. Obviously, I'm not going to recommend that you make your own sandpaper like I did. It's much easier and more practical to just buy it at the store. Plus, you'd probably have to travel to many different beaches just to get different grits of sandpaper. Don't forget to tell them to like and subscribe. Alright. If you like this video, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button. And if you want to see my next video, make sure you're subscribed. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Nice job, man. You really killed it on that one. Thanks, man. You done sanding that? I gotta make sure it's perfect, dude. Alright. It's gotta be perfect. We're done. Let's go.